Love is Blind, the UK season. We have to talk about it. And you guys, if you haven't seen it, so you've been thinking about it, I have to tell you, I have done the work for you. And it's worth watching. And so we're going to unpack it and the best takeaways for you guys as you're navigating your love life and you're wondering, oh my gosh, why am I not finding love? Seeing these people, the way that they're talking, the way that they're connecting and not connecting is gold for you as you're just like trying to find love. Okay. So like, let's talk about the first person, Meg Kieran. You know, spoiler alert, by the way, definitely if you want to see it, don't listen to this. Come back and listen, okay? But it actually didn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, I think that no, I'll take it back. Don't watch it until definitely watch it and then listen to this episode because I'm about to spoil a lot of shit. Meg Kieran. I absolutely love Meg. I loved her confidence and the way that she was like fearless, just being herself. And that attracted Kieran. And Kieran to me was the best on the show because he was so emotionally available, emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature, like all the things. And so like something that Meg said before coming, like talking to the guys, they did, this interview with her. And she's like, I just don't want a gamer. I don't want a gamer. Anyone that plays games, like video games. And Kieran says, oh, what he does for a living. And he is in the gaming industry and entrepreneur. And this is a whole thing about games. And you see it in her face like, oh, shit. And I'm so happy that she didn't just jump to conclusions because her experience may have been like, oh, gamers, they don't pay attention to me. They don't nurture the relationship. Their priority is like they're immature, all the things that she may have experienced. But that's not at all Kieran. Kieran is an awesome partner, and his job that he does, that he has a passion for, involves gaming. And so, like, this is something where you can learn as you're talking to people. Don't just hear one thing that triggers you and jump to conclusions and say, my, because that doesn't necessarily mean all the things that you make it mean. Okay, so that's like a huge takeaway for you to hear that. Okay. The other thing that I love about Meg Kieran and why they found love and why it worked, they both didn't have any pressure. Like they both said it. They had no pressure. They went into this experiment really feeling like I am open to love, but I don't need it. And that is the energy that I want you to show up in your life. And that's how I found Will. Like my husband, the night that I met him, I was not on the prowl. I had designed my dating method. I went out super intentional. I knew how to discern if someone was worth my time or not my time within minutes of talking to them. And so, the night that I met Will, some other guy was like, hey, you want to dance? And I already knew this guy. I knew he was not aligned to my list and what I wanted. I said, mind by nicely, removed him from my space, and I met Will. And so like this is where I think it's so important. I was not looking for it. I was open. When someone was in my energy, in my space that was not aligned to my list, I got them out of my freaking way. I was like, move. Not because I needed to find love, but I just really value my energy and my time. And I'm like, you're not worth my time. I know this. I've been here. You're not aligned to it. What am I doing here? Okay, so you really have to like take a step back and say, are you open to receive, right? Because you might say, I'm open to receive, but like take a look at who you're spending time with and putting your energy into, okay? Because every minute does count, truly. And so Meg Kieran, I love that they had no pressure, but they were open to truly receive. And so the other girl that was talking to Kieran was Sophie. Sophie was so guarded. And this is where I feel like, she says, I don't open up. She doesn't like being vulnerable. And that really blocked her from emotionally connecting to Kieran. And Kieran wanted to get deep. Kieran was curious and asking questions, but you could feel it. Sophie was very guarded. And at the end of the day, Sophie lost. She didn't get Kieran. And I'm so happy about that because Meg was just so much more aligned to Kieran. And like their energy is so cute. And they came back on the reunion. And I loved how they're still crazy in love and obsessed with each other. And I'm a big believer of that because I live it. Like I've been married 17 years and I feel it. And my clients, they are like, oh my gosh, does that even exist? And like it truly does. And I think that a lot of the experience that you've seen and the noise that you see all around you with dating culture saying it's so hard, yeah, like no wonder you're settling for bullshit. No wonder you're just tolerating like people maybe not treating you the best because you're like, oh, is this all that's available to me? And I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm here to tell you that you can have it all. You really truly can. And so, like, something that I hope that you take away from the show Love is Blind, the UK edition, whatever, is Meg Kieran is such a beautiful, inspiring story, okay, to help you navigate those conversations and see how authentic they were and fearless and open, but not desperate. Like that energy it says so much about and it will help you. Okay, now let's take note of what will not help you. Okay, Katisha, she was talking to Demola and she was vibing with him. It seemed nice. And Demola, his like love language was like going all out, giving her gifts. Like he was so sweet and vulnerable. And, Katisha was more drawn to Javen. And she said, Javen reminds me of my ex boyfriends. I was like, I wish I was on this show. Like, I need to manifest being on this show, Love is Blind, UK, because I'm like, oh my gosh, Katisha, yes, you're feeling drawn to what's familiar. And what's familiar is shit. It has hurt you in the past. And you want to get off that ride, don't you? And so she ended up picking the guy that reminds her of all of her exes who have cheated on her, who have not shown up for her or made her a priority. And guess what happened with Javen? Like literally the same thing. He was flirting with all the girls. He was so gross, you guys. Oh my gosh. As you watch this episode and the season, you will see Javen's behavior is so nasty. And I'm like, I would never in my wildest dreams ever tolerate that. And I feel like for her to sit there and see him disrespecting her, spending and flirting with other women from the show, and she was just like, okay, I trust him. It's okay. And this is where I feel like you have to do some inner work. You got to know your worth. You have to know how you should be treated. Like where in your life, and I say this with love, like I honestly, my heart really goes out to Katisha because she's like this beautiful human and you could tell she's a really good person. But for her to once again choose the guy that hurts her, that fails her, like she really will not break the pattern unless she intentionally chooses, like, I need to do inner work to heal my shit. Because if she just keeps going with the flow and on autopilot, she will keep choosing and attracting those guys that have failed her, that flirt, that are assholes, that are disrespectful, that never prioritize her. And I hope that she hears this and actually it resonates and she has a growth mindset and she challenges herself. And she probably has learned a crap load being on the show and seeing it. But like her story and her experience, I hope if it resonates with you, it's an opportunity for you to say, wait, oh my gosh, I'm always attracted to a certain type of guy. And, how has that served you? And isn't it time for something different? And something different like that. And all of this to say, that doesn't mean Demola was the guy for her. I don't think she had all the chemistry with him anyway. But like, I would have preferred her to pick neither instead of the guy that is like her exes, right? And so at the end of the day, for you also, you may feel like, oh my gosh, there's something about him that is like reason to pause and say, wait a second. If something about him, it might be like he's familiar, he's an asshole, like your exes. And this is a moment where you can be like, oh shit, I know this all too well. And you're grateful. And at the end of the day, I want you to be grateful for those experiences, the guys that have failed you, because you've been there. And if your intuition, if your gut is saying, oh my God, I know this reminds me of this, oh my gosh, honor your journey. You've been through shit, but now you get to decide something different. And so that's where I think Katisha failed. Like, and no regrets, you live and learn, blah, blah, blah. But like, I do think that you could see it and you see how she chooses wrong. And I'm there like, oh my God, do not pick Javen. You know, I'm like talking to the screen. And sure enough, she does, right? Okay. And like, let's go on to Billy and Ashleigh. Okay. I actually was like, oh, this could be a cute couple, right? Wrong. Wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. When Billy, first of all, he had been married before, which I don't think is a problem whatsoever. People have been married and they get out of it and it's fine. What I feel like was the issue started coming up with the whole routine thing with the food. Like that was so bizarre to me. I was like, that alone to me was a deal breaker. That was a bye-bye moment. When they went shopping, grocery store shopping, and this is why I feel like it's so important to like take your time with people. Like do not have sex with people. Don't get physical with them until you do day-to-day things like go grocery shopping, meet their family, meet their children, meet whatever it is, and see how they're interacting, see what they say, and really pay attention. And so when Billy's shopping and he's like, no, we're not having this at the house, it's junk food, like he's very strict with his thing. And she had this whole thing about her story with food and how she enjoys cookies or whatever it is, pastries. And I'm like, I just saw his energy where he is his own priority. He has his own shit. Like the way that he spoke to her, I was like, oh my God, this guy, he doesn't realize that he has this incredible woman in front of him that he gets to love, that he gets to show up for and say, oh my gosh, what makes you happy? Let me do it. He did not have that energy. He was like, it's all about me. This is what I do. And that's it. And that says everything. The way you do one thing, you do all things. He told us in that very moment, he told her in that very moment that it's all about him. He can give two shits about her. And that's it. Like people show us who they are. People show us what their priorities are. But it's up to us to actually listen and actually believe them. And you could see it in Ashleigh's face where she was so uncomfortable. And her gut was probably saying, run. Oh my gosh, this isn't good for you. But we overthink. We think and think and think. And I'm like, with our lens that's all cracked and jaded and like hopeless, like, oh my God, we finally have this guy that's nice and this and that. But there's this one little thing. Is it that big of a deal? I guess I can just keep going forward. But it is a big deal. These one little things that happen speak volumes of who that person is and what kind of partner they are. And you cannot dismiss it. And you won't dismiss it if your mindset was really set into abundance. Like, oh my gosh, this, like, bye, move out of the way because there's so many great men that want to love me. Like if you really walked in that energy, if you really believe that, oh my God, God, universe, however you want to call it, wants to deliver a partner that adores you just the way you are, like really makes you a priority. If you really believed it, the moment that Billy shows you, oh yeah, no, this is the way I do things, la-di-da, bye, because you know this, there's an abundance and you don't have a scarcity mindset. You want him out of your space. And because he's not going to change. We have to like step into that energy of like, we are not in the build a man workshop time. People are going to tell you who they are. We're not going to try to build them and shape them and change them. They're never going to change. I've done that so many times and wasted my beautiful energy and time. And that's it. That's the biggest thing that I have learned. I've learned 3 million things, but like, that's one of the biggest things that I used to love. The Build a Man workshop. I used to love, like, oh my God, there's so many great things about him. There's a couple things. And those couple of things would be the reason why the relationship would blow up at the end. And when they showed up at the reunion and Billy shares why they didn't, last or whatever, it's like he just decided. And I wasn't surprised because he already showed that he doesn't give a shit. Like his priority was never Ashleigh. And it should have been. And so this is where I feel like when I'm looking at things with a very clean lens, I can see it, right? But like Ashleigh's in it and she's so sweet and she has her heart on her sleeve and she's so like this wonderful like soul and she's putting her heart on the table. But Billy already had in his head. Billy's like, oh, I don't want to date cabin crew. And she says that she's been in cabin crew. And like, I feel like that was never truly, like, he never spilled it, said it. Like his insecurities, his experiences with it, he made her believe that she's, they're in it together. And he's full of shit. Like, I just didn't trust him. I just think there's a few things about him that I didn't trust. I felt it in my gut. I felt it for her. I was like, oh, crap, Ashleigh. And she's a sweetheart. And I just hope that she hasn't lost, like, all hope. And I don't think she has in the reunion. I feel like she really believes in love and she's grateful for the experience. And I think that energy about her is so beautiful. And you guys should take note of that. As you're watching the show, take note of Ashleigh's beautiful, grateful energy. And she's not like, doesn't have any jaded energy about it. At least that's not how it came off in the reunion, right? But like, truly learn from that mistake that she made, where I feel like she did try to make it work. And that's where I feel like there's a fine line. Like when you are with a partner that's like your forever partner, right? Yes, things are going to get difficult. Things are going to, you have to work through things that happen. But at the core, the values are aligned. They make you a priority. You make them a priority. You guys are a team. And that is always there. That's what it should be. That's what it should always be. That's why Will and I are obsessed with each other. We're so happy. He's been 17 years married. And like, that's why. And it's been like that from day one. And so what I'm saying here is that Billy, from the beginning, it wasn't like that. I never felt that from him. I felt like he already was planning his out. He's already having reasons why it's not going to work. He's probably not fully emotionally available. He picked the girl that he had a reason to break up with because she's cabin crew, a flight attendant, whatever you call it. Okay. Yeah. Billy. Ew. I'm just like not a fan of Billy. Not a fan. Okay. We got to keep going. Let's talk about Bardha and Jed. Okay. Actually, I was a bit surprised with this one. Bardha's adorable. Jed and her seemed really sweet. And then what was a huge red flag to me was when money came into the picture, and he had like an issue with her wanting to pay for something, and she wanted to pay, and like they talked about that coming up. So this is where I feel like financial, all of that that conversation has to happen early on. And see, like when you're talking to a guy that's like really traditional male role, which he was like, I take care of my woman. She's a very independent woman. Like I literally had that on my list. I asked Will my first date because I've, being Cuban, my mom's Cuban, I've dated Cuban guys in the past. Like they did not like that I was so independent. I lived in my own apartment before getting married. Like that's looked down upon in the old school Cuban culture. And so like I had it on my list. Like I want a man that really is so secure in himself, but he's not in that old school traditional male role. He loves an independent woman. And so that came up in my conversation with Will on our first date. And he said his mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, is that something that you would want for yourself? Like, a wife that stays at home. And he's like, oh no, actually, no, not at all. My mom would have worked, but she has severe rheumatoid arthritis. She couldn't. And so he told me this whole other story in the background on it. And his experience with women that didn't want to work and how that affected him. And like how he just wasn't aligned to that. And so it's really important when Bardha and Jed talked about it, and Jed was like, I've never had that kind of relationship. And he's like, okay, maybe this could work. That's where I'm like, no, it's not. Like, wait a second. So they talked about it, and then you start to see actions not aligning to the words. Like he says that he can, how can I feel about a woman being independent and taking care of shit? And clearly he couldn't handle it. But he never has. This is why I feel like it's really important to not just talk to somebody and be like, oh, I'm open to that. Let's see if it can work. It's like, no. Like, have you actually experienced it? How have you shown up for that? And so that's where Jed lost me. I'm like, oh God, we're going to deal with this shit. And sure enough, 100% they started to bicker, and it all fell apart. Okay. And it sounds like there's things that have happened behind the scenes that we don't even know about, that he's a real prick. And I'm like team Bardha all the way, like 100%. So yeah, I don't like Jed. Bye. And then we're going to talk about Sarover and Kal. Okay. The last ones. Okay. Oh my God! Before we talk about them, stop for a second. We can't forget Anu and Patrick. Anu and Patrick. I can't. Patrick was like some kind of human design coach, which I thought was like, oh, this is so cool, right? I'm like a love and dating coach. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But like he talks about like instead of listening to your gut, he listens to his spleen, which is a little bit like interesting. And I'm like, okay, to each their own. But when he was connecting with Anu, it really was like it switched off for him. And definitely you could feel like the energy between them wasn't flowing. So like I understood where Patrick was coming from, but I don't think he did a good job communicating how he was feeling, which I do think is a lack of, I don't know, emotional maturity, a lack of something there, where I feel like he just on his own decided, oh, it's over. The energy's gone. I'm done with her. And that is not at all when you're a mature person and they were fully, dating, and she was expecting, them to keep going to the end. He basically blindsided her and she wasn't expecting that. And so I do think that I don't know, he just seems immature to me. So he's a coach and great, but at the same time, he's giving advice to people, but I'm just like, I don't know if he's in the good space to give advice with love if he has yet to find it. I think that him being in that position, how he just switched it off and decided that without talking to her, I think it's a lack of vulnerability. It's a lack of like, I feel like there's always things that are going to come up. If you feel like the energy is off with somebody that you've been connecting with, it is, it requires emotional intelligence, vulnerability for you to ask questions and be like, hey, I don't know. I'm feeling like this is kind of shifting in a way where I'm not feeling the vibe like I did yesterday or an earlier date, whatever. And I'm just wondering why. Like, is there something that's shifted for you or how are you feeling? That question alone would have been so telling and a beautiful opportunity for Anu to like share, like maybe something was happening with her and maybe she was getting her guard up, maybe something, and I'm pretty sure, and I forgot what it was, Patrick said something that it got her a little bit guarded, and him bringing it to the attention like, hey, I'm not feeling the vibe anymore as much. At least she would have been able to be like, yeah, honestly, when you said this. And at the same thing I could say about Anu had some judgment. I think she might have judged certain things that he said, but she kept it to herself instead of telling him or asking him or probing. And like this is such a good lesson for you guys to be like, oh my gosh, when you guys are talking to somebody, probe, like like dig deeper. Don't just hear somebody and be like, oof, that probably means, and you jump to this conclusion. Instead, be curious and ask more questions. Go deeper about it. If there's something that he says or they say that's concerning, dig and ask questions. Because if it's the person that's right for you, if they're aligned to you, if they're emotionally mature and intelligent, all these things that you really want in a partner, they will happily answer the questions. And not only that, it will help you emotionally connect on a deeper level. So yeah, Anu and Patrick, 100%, like no regrets. They're not for each other. But the way it was navigated, I feel like you can take a lot and like learn from that situation. And like the way that she sang to him, okay, you guys, that was so fun and so classic. And I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Anu for that. Because like, was it totally mature? Obviously not. But like I still feel that, I love her because he always said, I want you to sing to me. I want you to sing to me. And poor thing, she was working on this song for him and she never got to sing to him, but she did sing to him at like one of the little things, like gatherings that they all did afterwards. And she started singing "You're a Liar," and I'm just obsessed with it. I'm really obsessed with how she did that. um he's just a douche. Like he's not a douche. It's a little bit aggressive. But I'm not a fan of Patrick, and I kind of love Anu. Did she handle it the best way possible? I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I'm not a fan of Patrick. Anu spoke her mind. I don't like how Patrick handled it. I think he has a lot to learn. But I hope Anu can like move forward because she's such she's just like a powerhouse. You can just feel her energy. She's a badass and she just deserves it all. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I don't want her to waste her energy on Patrick. Like he doesn't deserve her beautiful energy anymore. And the last person we're gonna talk about, the last couple, Sarover and Kal. I loved how the idea of it was like, oh my gosh, like they're cultures, like, oh my gosh, opposing cultures, like their backgrounds, and they're like, oh, love will conquer all. Like that was so sweet and lovely. But what I heard when I heard that, oh my gosh, his brother was like, he's never been in a relationship. He's never committed. He always like runs, it never lasts long. I'm like, oh no. Oh no, this is gonna be bye bye. This guy is not gonna be able to commit. And this is why it's really important to ask these questions when you're dating somebody and be like, oh, have you been in love? Have you been in now that being said, Meg had never been in love. And I was like, oh shit, Meg, is she gonna be able to get there? But I love how Kieran asked Meg. Like Kieran had a real concern, which is so appropriate. Like I get it. And he didn't just sit with it and then just assume that she'll never, you know what I mean? He instead said, oh my gosh, do you think you can fall in love with me? I'm like, Kieran, oh my God, you're so sweet. Like, I love how emotionally mature he is, intelligent, how he asks these questions, and that only helped them really connect deeper. Sarover and Kal, I feel like Kal has never committed. I don't remember Sarover and him having these conversations. Like when the brother mentioned how he had these commitment issues, I was like, wait, what? Like did Sarover know this? And if Sarover didn't know this, I think it's her job and our job as we're talking to people to ask these questions to find out. Have you What's your longest relationship? Oh, you've never been in a relationship. Why? That's interesting. Tell me more. And when he's like, I don't know, maybe, bye bye. Like, we don't have time for this man child bullshit. We just don't. So, like, I do think that maybe Sarover felt blindsided, but I don't like that feeling of being blindsided. I don't want her to think that or feel that because then that will terrify you for, putting yourself out there again in the future. You're going to be like, oh, I put my heart out and out of nowhere, they break my heart. Oh my gosh. And I don't want her to feel that way. And I don't want you to feel that way. If what happened to her resonated with you and maybe you've been in a similar situation, I want you to reflect and wonder, because in Sarover's thing, I'm really curious about, did they ever get to have that conversation? Did she ever ask these deeper questions about his past, about commitment? And if he's never been in a commitment or never been able to, did she probe deeper and why not? And did he reveal things to her? And did she think, oh, but I'm different. He'll be able to fall in love with me. And this is where I feel like when you take ownership, you take some responsibility of like, wait, this played out in a certain way. What could I have done to see it sooner? That's where I want. It's about empowering. It's not about blaming. It's about empowering Sarover and being like, what could you have done differently? So then when you move forward, because fuck Kal. Kal didn't work out with him. Bye. He's not worth Sarover's time or energy. Sarover's a freaking beautiful, amazing person. And I absolutely love her. But Kal is beyond not worthy of her. But like, I don't want Sarover to move forward being like, oh, next thing you know, I'm going to get blindsided again. So this is a time for her to reflect and be like, shit, what could I have done differently? What could I have asked? And next time that she puts herself out there and someone says to her, oh yeah, I've never been in a relationship. Oh, why? Tell me about it. Da-da-da. Even when someone says I've never been in a fucking relationship, bye. Like, we're not going to be the first person. I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, if you really want someone that is emotionally available and they're not an avoidant, because I feel like Kal is probably an avoidant where he, doesn't like emotional intimacy and who knows what. Okay. Even Kal, by the way, Kal wrote a list of qualities that he wanted in a woman, and he said that Sarover was everything. I would love to see that list. I would love it. I bet you it's surface bullshit. Even when the mom first asked him about, like, what is it about Sarover that you love? Like, and I appreciated Sarover's mom being so protective and asking questions. But, like, even the way he answered it, I was like, ew, that's not giving, like, it just didn't feel that he really knew what he wanted. And like for me, my list, are you kidding me? Like what I knew what I wanted in a partner, like I had crystal clear clarity on who I was, how, because I was so fulfilled in who I am, but I knew, let me make space for that partner that will add value to my life. And what does that look like? And it was nothing physical. It was no physical qualities. It was all deep, deep qualities that speak to their values. And I don't, like, he was like family. We both have family. We both, she's kind. I'm like, dude, what? If you ask me what I wanted in a partner, like literally is like 25 things on the list. You know what I mean? Like, and I can tell you all about it. And so like I feel like he was just like giving, like not prepared, like not like he was going with the flow. He was in the show. And him and Billy confiding in each other and giving each other advice is a joke to me. It's a joke. Like, why are we taking advice from somebody like that is not living their happily ever after? Like, but that's why, because Billy doesn't really want a happily ever after with someone else. He wants a happily ever after with Billy, Billy on his own. And I'm just like, I just cannot. They're like just giving man child bullshit. And these women are such fucking powerhouses, and they're amazing and they're beautiful. And I hope like they're not jaded after this. I hope they continue forward more empowered, and like truly they deserve it. They're just this beautiful light in the world, meant to shine. And these freaking man-childs dim them down. Was not the vibe. But Kieran was my favorite. And women. And I just wanted to say too, like I am not here to bash men. Like I'm a huge fan of men. But the man-child vibe is not my vibe. Like I'm not here to build a man workshop. And so I do feel like, I truly want you to look at Love is Blind, even if you've seen it, watch it again after hearing this podcast and being like, oh shit, let me go into it intentionally and implement it and be like, this is what I should do or shouldn't do. Okay. Tell me if this is landing with you. Let me know. Write a review on Spotify. You can actually write on Spotify. Let me know what happened there if you're listening there. On YouTube, drop a comment and follow me on Instagram where we can connect in the DMs more too. The Jackie Lore. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, it has to be crazy love or nothing. Until next time.